All right, guys. Our next guest is one of the most well-known and controversial grapplers in the world. He is known for his exciting matches, his outspoken and honest nature, and will also be taking his skills into MMA. He is the one and only Dillon Danis. Dillon, welcome back to Submission Radio, man. Thanks for dropping by. How's things?
Things are going good, man. I haven't been on the show for a while. Happy to be back on.
I know. It's been a little bit of a while. We were happy to get a message from you to get you back on the program. It's good to see you got a little bit of time to jump back on the program and let us know how everything's going. So tell us, to what do we owe the pleasure? What's new in the life of Dillon Danis?
Man, I'm just recovering right now. I had a surgery like 2 weeks ago, so I can't train for like 4 weeks. So right now I'm just recovering, doing some other stuff, but just can't wait to get back into training so I can make my debut.
Yeah, absolutely. Just take us into that, because I personally, I've had my appendix removed. It's not much fun. What was the story there? Because usually it happens that, you know, you go through a little bit of agony before you realize that it is actually appendix. What exactly happened there?
Yeah, I mean, man, it was miserable. It was a miserable night. I like punched the wall like 4 times. I didn't know what was going on. I thought it was just a stomach ache.
Yeah.
And I woke up in the morning and the pain was still there. And my friend was like, "You need to go to the hospital." And I was like, I'll just hold it off. And then I waited, and it was like 6 in the afternoon. And I was like, oh man, I got to go. And then it ended up being appendicitis, and I had a hernia too. So that's why I can't train for a while, because I could pop the hernia again. So I had both. So I had to get surgery on both. And yeah, it just takes time, you know. I'm getting better day by day, though. I feel like I should be able to train soon.
Yeah. Well, before we talk about potential things in the MMA realm, obviously you were at ADCC recently. You had some really entertaining, some close matches, and you beat Yukiyasu Ozawa, but you came up short against Gordon Ryan and Muhammad Ali. How do you look back on those performances?
You know, I like to see like my performance was good, but I didn't get the results that I wanted. You know, I feel like nowadays a lot of the matches get like, you know, I mean, they're big matches and sometimes they don't go my way. And it's just like, I don't know, I feel like a little bit of the grappling world doesn't really have the best taste in mind against me in some of the matches and like the ref's decisions and stuff like that. But I mean, at the end of the day, you know, you get what you deserve. So I just like to put that in my head, and you know, I just need to get back on the horse and beat those guys.
Because a lot of people had you winning against Ryan. Do you feel like you should have gotten the decision?
100%. I thought I got the decision. I mean, when I went backstage, every single person was telling me I won the decision. Even guys are like, yeah, you know, I hate you, but I thought you won that fight. And I was like, all right, cool. But I mean, yeah, I really thought I had the decision against them, you know, and that I feel like that match was mine. And yeah, it's really, really, really hard to deal with sometimes. But, you know, I'll get that rematch, and then I won't have to go with the refs.
You mentioned sort of the jiu-jitsu world not really maybe, I don't know, appreciating your style. Do you think maybe like some of those losses, they're sort of, you've got this kill or be killed style where, you know, you're always constantly going for the finish, making the match exciting, and sort of sometimes opponents end up racking up points. Do you think it's a little bit of that by any chance?
Yeah, I guess so. But I mean, it is what it is, you know, that's on me. So, I mean, I could just make a little adjustments here and there. And, you know, I have a new team now, so that's going to help me out a lot too. You know, before I was kind of bouncing around trying to like find my own. And I think that was hard for me. You know, I couldn't really get down like a solid game plan and a solid training schedule like I used to have at Marcel's. You know, at Marcel's we had like a disciplined schedule. And, you know, I'm starting to get back into that now, which I think is going to help me a lot, you know.
Who is the new team, by the way, for those that don't know, and how did you sort of come to the decision to make them your, you know, official new team since the departure from Marcelo Garcia's?
So my new team I'm going to be training with is Unity. So the instructor would be Murilo Santana. The Meow brothers train there, and I don't know, it's just very fit, man. They're a fighters gym. Like, they don't care about like catering to like, I would say, hobbies or stuff like that. You go in there and you know, it's a bunch of guys are looking to be world champions, and the mindset in there and just the training and everything like that is really, really catered to what I want to do and what I like to train in. The environment is a super intense and super focused environment, which is really good for me.
And earlier in the year, you said that after the ADCC, you plan on focusing on MMA full time. Does this mean you're officially transitioning now after you heal up?
100%. I'm ready to go now. Like, I want to start training full time in MMA. But like, after some of these matches are like so close and I felt I won them, I kind of want to, you know, I don't want to go out like that in jiu-jitsu. But I think I'm gonna make my debut maybe January. Maybe I was planning on December before this whole surgery thing happened, but I want to focus a lot more on my hands and stuff like that. But yeah, I think I'm gonna go full in now to MMA and maybe still do some jiu-jitsu matches or maybe focus a little bit more on jiu-jitsu and then do both. I don't know. I'm trying to figure everything out now. Honestly, it's rough, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, what a bummer that this stupid surgery sort of got in the way and the appendix got in the way, so you know you didn't make the debut or won't in December. How close was it as far as December? Like, were you already talking to Scott Coker? Was there already sort of like matchmaking going on, and then this surgery derailed it, or was it sort of still very early stages?
I mean, I wanted to fight in New York. I want to fight somewhere around here, so I was like texting them saying, "Is there any fights going to be here?" You know, and we were just talking about that. You know, the venue and stuff. I want to fight my debut in Madison Square Garden, and that's what I wanted. I was just wondering if they were going to come back or anytime soon. So we were just talking about that, and yeah, I'm just trying to figure out dates and opponents and stuff like that. But honestly, the opponent doesn't really matter. I'm just looking for the date. You know, you just need to give me a body to kill.
Yeah, and you know, it sounds like you're sort of, you know, a little bit on the fence as far as, you know, what you're going to be doing with, you know, grappling, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. If you had gone into ADCC and just, you know, cleaned up and you know, won all your matches, would you have said goodbye to Jiu-Jitsu and focused 100% on you know, MMA, or was it always sort of the plan to do a bit of both regardless?
Uh, Yeah, I mean, I probably would have just said bye to jiu-jitsu for now and then, you know, went to MMA, but jiu-jitsu is my love and my passion, so I don't think I could ever say bye to it. But it's hard for me, man, because I've been competing in jiu-jitsu since I was 15, so it's still hard for me to even transition to MMA because I love jiu-jitsu so much. So it's kind of rough, you know, but I'm excited to go into MMA and show what everybody doesn't think I can do, you know. And after ADCC, I kind of felt that vibe because, you know, we were kind of out after, we are all hanging out. Usually everybody goes out after ADCC. And I feel like a lot of guys that couldn't do it like to say that I can't do it because they couldn't do it. And it kind of like bothers me in a certain way. Like, if we're all on the same kind of battlefield here, you know, we're all jiu-jitsu guys. Like, I feel like all the jiu-jitsu guys should be kind of motivating me and saying, hey, you can do it, you know. So I just feel like I want to go out there and prove what I believe, which is that I can go out there and submit all these guys or, you know, beat all these guys. And no one, I don't think anybody really believes in me, but I just want to show the world that jiu-jitsu is still the #1 martial art, and I'm going to go and prove that.
It's kind of funny because I've heard you say, like, when you go into MMA, you want to sort of fly the flag for jiu-jitsu. You want to be a representative, kind of like, for lack of a better example, kind of like Damian Maia, who goes in there, he really wants to show the art of jiu-jitsu. But like you mentioned, do you sort of get that vibe that the jiu-jitsu community, they kind of want you to fail? Because if you do go in, then you have success, it might make some guys look bad because, you know, they're just sticking to jiu-jitsu and, you know, maybe, I don't know, maybe they might have to ask themselves questions about, hey, why didn't I become an MMA fighter? Why didn't I transition?
Or even they did MMA and then they couldn't do it. You know, it happens a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not many jiu-jitsu practitioners that ever really went into MMA and were successful. Damian is probably one of the only ones. I mean, Jacare, there's maybe like 2 or 3. And then there's guys that you haven't heard about, like world champions that have been on the undercard and they got knocked out or beat by decision. So there's a lot of guys that are like that, you know. And I just honestly think that it's a style thing. I think that they're not aggressive enough. That there's a lot of things that I could pick apart that they didn't do that I feel that I can do. And I swear to God that like 100% of my heart that I feel like I could do it. So I wouldn't go and do it if I didn't believe I could do it. And I just want to prove that and I want to show that.
What kind of vibes are you getting right now from Bellator and Scott Coker? Do you feel like they'll push you as a major star and maybe even the face of the roster eventually?
I think so. I mean, the only people that wanted, the only fighter that people want to see now is me. I keep seeing that online and stuff. So I think they will push me. I mean, they don't have to push me. I push myself. I make my own hype and I make my everything. You know, I'm kind of pushing everything for myself right now. So that's how it always has been, and then that's how it is. I don't really need to do too much. People just follow what is real, you know, and they see that I'm going to go and do it, so they follow, and they are all behind me, you know.
And I mean, you mentioned the gym change for Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but what's your structure going to be like when you do transition to MMA full-time? Are you going to live in Ireland and train at SBG, or have you figured out another MMA gym more locally that you'll be training at for your Bellator debut?
I think I would go to SBG. I have a really good relationship with Kavanaugh, so, but I don't know if I'll move there full time. Maybe I'll do like 3 months here, 3 months there. I don't know yet. I mean, I'm trying to figure that out. Maybe I'll just like do a couple months here and then a couple months there. So, or maybe I move there full time. I don't know. Who knows? I haven't really thought about it, but I have a good relationship with Phil Nurse here, and he's really wanting to like help me with striking and stuff like that. So like I could do like a couple months here, a couple months there. I'm just trying to figure everything out now.
Yeah, Phil Nurse obviously is a legend. You spoke earlier in the year about how you wanted to train with him. How did that relationship start? Where do you know Phil Nurse from? Is it something recent that you sort of got in contact with him for MMA, or have you known him for a while?
I I don't know how it happened. He invited me to come to his gym, and then I ended up going, and then something happened where he didn't get to come, and we didn't get to train that day, and then he has my number. He'll call me here and there, and make sure he checks up on me and stuff like that. He's actually a really nice guy, and seems like he's really caring. So once I'm healed, I'm gonna go train with him and then see how the combination goes. So I mean, he is a legend. When a legend wants to take you in, you can't say no. So I just want to see how it is. Right now, a lot of people are asking me to come train and go to their gym and stuff like that. So I just gotta make sure I surround myself with the right people. I already know who I want to train with SBG. It just kind of happens to be that they're kind of far away and, stuff like that. But who knows, maybe one day I'm going to move full-time out there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it sounds obviously like Phil's been super welcoming. How have you found the MMA community sort of, I guess, reacting to you making your debut? It almost, because obviously you've got a target on your back. Obviously there's a lot of fighters that are calling you out, but in terms of trainers, in terms of coaches, in terms of people that actually want to get in the Dillon Danis business, are you a little bit almost surprised at how sort of opposite it is from the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu community, who might not really want you to succeed, as opposed to the MMA community, who looks like they sort of want to hone your skills and take advantage of a talent like yourself?
Yeah, I get both sides of it. I get people that are really nice and want to help me out, and then I get the guys that don't want to see me succeed because I feel like they think it'll make MMA look bad. Some guy that's 0-0 is going to come in and beat everybody, So I get both sides of it. But a lot of the MMA guys that talk a lot of crap or talk a lot of shit about me, the result that I see when I meet them face to face is they're really nice. So I never understood that. I don't understand why you would fabricate something, and then when you see the person, you're real nice to them. So that's not what I'm about. I'm about being real and just saying how you feel, honestly. So if I respect someone, I'm going to respect them in person. I'm not going to switch it from, online to in person. So if I talk shit about someone, I'll talk shit about them to their face. Or if I respect someone, say I respect the guy I'm fighting, then that's what it is. I respect them. I'm not going to make some kind of fake beef and stuff like that. That's one thing I don't really like in MMA is like the fakeness of some things. But I mean, at the end of the day, I don't really care about what people think, so fuck it.
Just going back to your Bellator debut, have you settled on what weight class you'll compete in? And if you have, what was the determining factor in the weight class that you chose?
I think 170 is going to be good for me. I was talking to Lockhart about it. He was saying 170. But honestly, I feel like I can make 55, but maybe later on in my career. For now, I mean, 170 I think will be good for me. I like to eat, so I like to enjoy some food. At 170, it'll be hard, but it won't be too crazy. 155 will be like super hard, but I think I could get it done. But I want to start with 170 for sure.
And in terms of early opponents, I'm wondering sort of what you're looking for from your MMA debut in terms of opponents. We saw recently Aaron Pico, massive prospect, made his debut at Bellator NYC, and he got matched up against a guy who Zach Freeman, who already had 10 fights. Are you sort of looking to jump straight on the deep end, or are you hoping for someone maybe of not so much a similar level to you, but in terms of experience in MMA, maybe an 0-0 guy, an 0-1 guy to sort of get your feet wet in your debut?
It really doesn't matter to me, honestly. I'm 24 years old, so I'm gonna fight. I'm gonna fight everybody anyway. So, honestly, I was thinking it'd be really cool to fight the champion in the first fight. I was thinking like Douglas Lima.
Wow.
I really think that Douglas Lima would be an easy fight for me. I really think so. I feel that on the ground I would, play with him, and that was what I was thinking. I thought that would be kind of cool, but I mean, I got to listen to my coaches too and make sure that I go on the right path, because I'm not in this just for 2 or 3 fights. I'm in this to be the best in the world. So I'm just going to listen to the people I have around me, but I honestly think Douglas Lima would be an easy fight.
Wouldn't that be amazing if you go in there, a guy went 0-0 and then dethrones the champion in their first fight? That'd be amazing. Did you speak to Bellator about your plans, and did they sort of give you any indication of what they were thinking?
No, this is the first time I kind of like thought about that. I mean, I talked to Bellator here and there, and then the stuff with the surgery, I kind of let back because there's no point in me talking to Bellator or looking for opponents and stuff like that if I can't mature right now, you know? So
yeah,
it's kind of not the best mindset I want to be in. When I'm about to fight, I want to be training hard and having everything going my way. That would be the kind of case. But yeah, that would be something special. I really think I could do it too. I mean, I believe in my heart 100% I would beat him in my first fight. So, I mean, who knows?
And just on Douglas, I mean, he's a little bit underrated because he, isn't fighting for the UFC. But as a champion, how do you compare him to the equivalent, UFC champion in the 170 division? Do you believe people sort of underestimate him and don't give him the credit that he deserves with the skill set?
I think so. I mean, that's just how everybody in Bellator kind of gets there. Everybody kind of judges the guys at Bellator to the UFC, but right now you're seeing it. Like Gregor Marsasi had a really tough time with Shevchenko, and like there's guys like Lorenz Larkin that was 0-2 in Bellator now, and he was like on a 3-4 winning streak in the UFC. So I mean, you could see that the level in Bellator is super high, and Douglas Lima has a good amount of like title defenses on his belt, and I think he's a very good fighter, and I think that he deserves respect for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And while we're talking about champions and obviously high-level guys, you tweeted out the other day that apparently your first opponent in Metamoris 6 was actually meant to be Tony Ferguson himself before you got Joe Lozon. Is that true?
Yeah, that was true. They were we were talking about opponents, and I think they brought up Tony Ferguson. Hey, like, do you want to go against Tony Ferguson? I was like, yeah, sure. But at the time, he was like a purple belt, and no one really knew who he was. And I was like, but, whatever. I don't remember how it came about. And I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. And then they came up and they were like, oh, we have Joe Lozon too. I was like, let's go with Joe Lozon. At the time, like, Joe Lozon was the band, So I think that was just at the time, it was Joe Lozon or Tony Ferguson. And Tony Ferguson was a nobody back then. He was a purple belt. Joe Lozon had like the most submissions in the UFC, so obviously I was going to go with him at the time. But I mean, yeah, so that's a cool little story.
That's funny. And in hindsight, given his current position in the UFC, do you kind of wish you did go with Tony instead?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it wasn't like really my choice. It was kind of them like telling me like, oh, here we have these two, and then like I think for them too at the time, Joe Lozon was a better draw, So
yeah.
I mean, I wish, that would be cool to have a win over Tony Ferguson too.
I'm curious because obviously Tony's had a lot of success with his grappling in the UFC. What do you think of Tony's grappling and BJJ? Not necessarily compared to yours, but just in general. When you see what he does in MMA, when you see his Das chokes and the way he applies his 10th Planet Jiu-Jitsu, are you impressed? Do you think he's does a good job of it?
I think so. I think that he does a lot of moves that a lot of these guys aren't used to because they're not that crazy of moves, but it's just that he's a very aggressive and he attacks a lot, but they're super basic setups and they're very easy to defend. But I think a lot of the guys he fights are just not ready for him, and he's very unorthodox with the way he moves. And I think that I mean his submissions are, I guess I would say they're he's good for MMA submissions, I would say, or jiu-jitsu.
And there's, of course, the question of whether it will be him or Nate Diaz that faces Conor McGregor next. From what you know, who do you think it'll end up being? What kind of makes sense more from your perspective?
Honestly, I mean, I haven't really talked to Conor or any of those guys about it, but I would think Tony Ferguson next because of, he's won and Conor's going to defend the belt and stuff like that. And me knowing Conor, Tony Ferguson is talking a lot of shit, and I know Conor's going to want to shut him up, so I can see that happening. But, I mean, either fight they're both awesome fights, so I could see either one happening. I really don't know, honestly.
The way Tony's speaking, do you think that's the kind of thing that sort of gets Conor McGregor's attention? Because you never really know. I mean, it seems like Conor really kind of makes the decisions, and ultimately it'll come down to, I guess, what tickles his fancy more, what gets him more excited. But the way Tony's sort of performing and saying these things to Conor, do you think that's something that sort of gets Conor out of his chair and excited?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, he's done it all in the sport too. So I think he likes challenges, and he likes when people don't I wouldn't say people won't believe him, but people don't think he could do something, you know? When he first the UFC, people say he couldn't be a wrestler. He was giving they were giving him easy matchups, and then he kept proving everybody wrong, you know? And I think that's what gets him going is proving people wrong. And I think a lot of people think that Tony is a tough matchup for him. And I think he would want to prove people wrong there. He already beat Nate, so I could see that. But at the end of the day, yeah, it's his choice and whatever he thinks. So, but for me, knowing him, I think, you know, he likes to prove people wrong, and that could be the Tony fight.
Obviously, you've worked with Conor on his grappling before. A lot of people saying if he does fight Tony Ferguson, Tony's going to have a huge advantage over Conor on the ground, and you know his best way and easiest way to winning the fight is via submission. How do you think Conor does with Tony on the ground? Does he, I suppose, is he able to handle himself if Tony does get him down?
100%. I don't know what people judge that off of. I don't know why they would say he has a superior advantage on the ground or stuff like that. People don't even know what Conor's jiu-jitsu is like or anything like that. So me training with Conor so much in jiu-jitsu, I feel like he'll be fine on the ground or even better. So yeah, I would look forward to seeing that fight. I think Conor's going to pick him apart on the feet, most likely knock him out early, or he would probably do whatever he wants with him. Tony's very sloppy. If you watch his fights, he gets hit a lot. And when you get hit against Conor, you go out.
All right, well, look, Dillon, we could sit here and talk to you all day, but unfortunately, we got to let you go. We can't be too greedy with the time. As we let you go, what is the plan for you now? Obviously, you're recovering. You've got the appendicitis surgery sort of in the rearview mirror. How are you sort of going to be, you know, spending the time now between between now and when you make your debut?
I'm looking at doing a lot of boxing, a lot of sparring, a lot of wrestling, stuff like that, and just getting ready to take over MMA, honestly. I think the time has come now for everybody to see that this ain't just all talk, that I'm going to go out there and prove what I say is true.
And at the moment, January, that's the targeted date for your debut?
Yeah, that was, but I mean, we got to see, like, I still can't train, like, I have to get cleared by the doctor, but yeah, it depends on everything, like me getting back to training and figure everything out, but I would like January, maybe even a little bit later than that, but we'll see.
All right, well, we're excited, man. Look, when it is locked in, don't be a stranger. Come back on the show. We don't like these long sort of distances between having you on the show, so definitely come back soon. And guys, don't forget to follow the man at Dillon Danis on Instagram and Twitter. A lot of great photos from your European adventures recently, so a lot to check out. And as always, Dillon, really appreciate you coming on the show and chatting with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.